Welcome and thank you so much for tuning in to our vertical mindset call with Sarah Foley. And she is best known as Vertical Blonde. She is an icon for shifting perspectives and overcoming life challenges. I'm so grateful to be here with Sarah today. We're going to be talking about, she calls herself Vertical Blonde. What does that mean? What is a vertical mindset? What are all these calls really about? So Sarah, what is a vertical mindset?
Thank you so much. So to really get across what a vertical mindset is, I want to take you back to how the name Vertical Blonde was born. I myself has sustained a spinal cord injury about 8 years ago now. And after doing that, I'm now paralyzed from the waist down. I'm a wheelchair user, gets me around, and that is how I now get through life, is as a wheelchair user with a physical disability. With that in mind, I really still do and did have this desire to walk again. I believe in my heart that a cure is possible. I believe in my heart that the time is really beautiful in the ways of science and medicine and technology and all of that to bring a way to get people walking again that may have sustained a spinal cord injury themselves or some sort of paralysis. So while I went through life and my healing journey, I wanted to really embody this idea and this knowledge that words have power. The words we use have power. What we're saying to ourselves on a regular basis has power. The actual meanings that we're giving to words in our circumstances, it all has power. So I thought, well, if I want to walk again, if I want to be vertically all day long, walking around on my two legs again, I want to start calling myself vertical. And I started playing around with the different names of the walking blonde, the bionic blonde. It always kind of came back to the blonde for reasons that are obvious. But I really came back to vertical blonde. There was something that sounded empowered and strong and a little sexy and things that I really wanted to embody. And so this idea and this name of vertical blonde happened. While that was occurring, I was also going through this beautiful emotional healing, the psychological leveling up, if you will. And I really went through these steps. I went through a healing process. I went through an acceptance process. I went through a process of embracing my circumstances. And then all of that came together and I felt elevated because of my circumstances. Not in spite of it. They didn't keep me down. I actually used it to my advantage of growing and, yeah, for lack of a better word, just leveling up in life. And so that is how Vertical Blonde was born. And that is how the vertical mindset came about. And so just to cover those again, we go through a healing, an acceptance, embracing, and an elevation. And those are the 4 stages of the vertical mindset. So living vertically, it's a mindset, it's a lifestyle. It is a pure desire and intention to aim higher, while at the same time realizing that our circumstances, no matter hard, no matter how fun, they are all there to serve us, to elevate us, to help us rise, to help us grow, to help us see ourselves in a new light, to have a view from the top of the next threshold. All of that plays a vital role into living vertically, to be a vertical icon, to have a vertical mindset.
So what would you say are the key areas that matter the most to get back into the mindset? Like, how do we get there?
It all begins with intention, right? Our intention is going to guide where we go in life. Our intention is going to be our true north, our North Star. And we really have to get that kind of decided. We don't have to worry about the details yet. We don't have to figure out the course, but we have to have that North Star. We have to decide, what do I want in my life? And for me, I wanted to grow. I wanted to know that everything in my life had a purpose, had a meaning. It was there for some reason. And so if we start with that intention, it's going to guide us, it's going to give us direction, especially when we start to get off course. Our daily habits, as well as our support circle. And that support circle could be in the way of people, places, things, all of that to support us. I myself, I do dance as a way of therapy. I do physical fitness. I go to support groups. I have a therapist. I have a life coach. I have all these things, and then not to mention my family, my friends, the real, like, you know, just the things that make us feel good, the things that we're doing for ourselves, the way I get up in the morning and having a desire for this to be a good day, even if I go through hard things. And then, you know, those little habits in place. Journaling is one of my big go-tos. Journaling helps me to get clarity. It helps me to really decipher through all those crazy thoughts that go in through our heads. So to have that support circle that is there to really uplift us and support us, while also giving us the freedom and the space to explore the healing, the acceptance, the embracing, so we can start to fill those cracks of our life, those scars of our life with gold, with purpose.
So talking about purpose and filling it with gold, and you said I had to have a purpose. I had to find purpose in anything. What if people say, well, I have no purpose, or I feel like I have no purpose?
I think people get really tripped up on this idea of purpose, that it has to be some grandiose, like, mission statement and starting a new nonprofit, and it has to be so grand. I think that it's just redefining the purpose and the meaning of the seemingly everyday scenarios in our life, right? So every circumstance holds fact, right? I am unable to physically walk. That is a fact. But the story around that is really where the purpose is created. It's where the meaning is redefined. And that story is what holds us down. That story is going to weigh us down so that we don't have that ability to rise through it all. So we want to really redefine the purpose of everything, not necessarily like this big, grandiose, I've got this purpose to change the world. Although I think that changing of the world, it all begins in here. And if we want the world to start seeing us differently, I'm speaking right to those with physical disabilities right now. If we want the world to start seeing us differently, we need to start seeing ourselves differently. And we got to break out of those boxes of the stereotypes and the things that are weighing us down, and into those things that we start to tell ourselves. And this, now I'm speaking to everybody, those boxes that we sort of get put into based on stereotypes of I'm not supposed to be one way if the stereotype says another. So a purpose doesn't have to be so grand. And I think people get caught up on that, and then they struggle with this ability to get through that, right? They can't see past that because they get so stuck. Don't get so stuck. Just redefine what the purpose is of right now. And I think that that's going to really help you to see things differently. One of my most beautiful prayers, I say this every single day. Sometimes I say it a million times a day as just a simple reminder. And it is this: dear God, or whoever you pray to, Goddess, the universe, whatever. Dear God, thank you for the seemingly good and the seemingly bad. For in this moment, I do not know the difference. We have no ability to see past right now. The only thing we can do is start to redefine that story around it. But I tell you, this accident, laying there waiting for life flight as I laid with a broken back, multiple broken bones, tons of pain, I had no idea what that moment was leading to. That seemingly bad, seemingly horrific was just a turning point, a pivot moment into something absolutely great. My life has blossomed into such miraculous ways through something that seemed so bad. So while we're in it, we're not going to see it through the same lens as we do in retrospect. And I hope that prayer serves you in some way. And that's why I call them the SDCs, the seemingly disabling circumstance. Right now, you may be going through something that seems very disabling to you. And that disabling can come in multiple different ways. Can come from being in a wheelchair and have a physical disability. It can be from a relationship you're struggling with. It can be with your boss who you just can butt heads all day long and you feel so disabled in your job. It can be from your parent and you guys are still struggling with things from years and years and years ago that seem to disable the ability for you guys to thrive together in a beautiful way. Those all can be extremely disabling. We have trouble moving forward when we get stuck in that situation and that story that is on repeat. But the story is what's disabling us. It's the story around it. I tell you, I am much more enabled than a lot of people out there that have full use of their bodies. I tell you, it reminds me of a story. I was in the grocery store, and this guy he was having just a rough interaction with the grocery store clerk, and she was there at the register, and he was arguing about something, and I was just kind of going about my business, and I ended up having to go up to this other register, and he then was next to me in line, and I just thought, oh dear, like he's all fired up, like I'm not really in the mood. I don't know what to say, what's going on. And he looks at me and he's all frustrated, and he says, oh man, you're so pretty. And then he looked down and he says, oh, that sucks to happen to someone so pretty. And I looked at him and I said, does that make me less pretty? And he said, I guess not. We get so stuck into the box, right? There was a box, there was a stereotype around it where he thought, you're not supposed to be pretty in a wheelchair. Wrong. We start to get so stuck in these boxes. You're not to be this and that. Wrong. You can be. You can be it all.
How beautiful. And thank you for sharing that story. And I love how you reacted to it. It was so lovingly too. One of the things that you were saying made me think of, you know, how this big, and Peter taught me this and it made so much sense. Peter, our founder at Hack Mankind, for those who don't know. And he said, you know, there's this big sentence, like big thing people keep saying, quote, nothing happens to you, it happens for you. Nothing happens to you, it happens for you. And what he says, like, things happen. Now, how you take it is whether you decide if it's happening to you or for you. You actually make the decision, because things will happen. Life will throw you curveballs. And so it is the choice. So when you were talking about your story where you're laying there and it was seemingly bad, would you say that it was your choice to live vertically?
1000%. And I still make that choice every single day. Every single day. It was my choices that created the pivots. Because for a while there, it was pivoting in a really bad direction. It was really pivoting into suicidal thoughts. The highlight of my day becoming The Price is Right, 11 a.m. Like that's what I looked forward to, nothing else. And I say it jokingly now, but in the moment, it felt like, is this all there is? And I was still making that choice. And it was not until I started really breaking up my patterns of what I did every day, what I focused on every day, who I was talking to every day, where I was putting my energy every single day. Every single one of those is going to pivot us, and it can help take us lower and deeper into the throes of depression and heartache and just a life that we just don't love, or it can elevate us, it can take us higher. And I know that I may make it look easier now. I know that. But I also want to give myself credit where credit's due. I worked really hard to get here. I put in a lot of effort. I put in a lot of self-love. I really redefined what that intention was about waking up every single day. Actually, it starts the night before when I'm journaling and I'm clearing out the day that has just happened, and I start to prepare myself for what do I want to do the next day. It all starts with us. And so I don't want that to come across insensitive to those going through those depressed, suicidal, horrific, hard thoughts. but I know those thoughts. I know them very well. And it really came back to my decision to do something about it, to not let myself stay there as long as I was and any longer. Make the decision. You're worth it. Your life is worth it. And whatever's going on right now, it is serving you. That comment could not be more truthful of it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Let this happen for you. I think of another really great story. My dear uncle, he's absolutely amazing. He's got 3 kids, and one of his daughters is my goddaughter. And we share all these stories all the time. And she says, yeah, growing up, it was this one word that changed everything. You know, like Sunday morning, Dad would come in and be like, okay, you know, it's time to go to church. And she'd be like, do I have to? You know, it's Sunday. And he'd be like, no, you get to. We get to. We get to make the decision to make this moment work for us, this hardship work for us, this seemingly disabling circumstance elevate us and help us rise, help us grow, help us be better than we were yesterday. We get to. The choice is all ours. It's not an easy choice, not at all. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's not an easy choice to get yourself up every single day. It's not an easy choice to look for the resources of therapies and support groups. It's not easy to show up to those appointments. It's not easy to do the work week after week, day after day. It's not easy to pull out your journal instead of binge watch on Netflix. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? If it was easy, then it wouldn't have any reward. The reward is really great. And it is challenging. It is difficult. But I would take that difficulty and that discomfort of breaking up those patterns for this reward that's on the other side, much more than the ease of letting it eat me alive. We get to make that choice. Get to.
Amazing, Sarah. Thank you so much. And on that note, you know, thank you so much for tuning in to our Vertical Mindset weekly calls. This is where you come in every single week, where we recognize that everything in life, everything has the ability to elevate us to the next level. And this is a perfect call to illustrate that and to set up the tone. So we'll catch you next week on the Vertical Mindset Call. Thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
My sincere pleasure. Aloha, everyone. Live vertically out there.